Learning is crucial. It's the basis of everything. It's vital. Learning is about transforming, developing, interacting better with others, with your environment, doing and feeling better each time. That being said, in a world where everything is changing, what do? We look at it differently. We go beyond words, beyond slogans. We're not just saying that we must listen to the world. We're all over the world, capable of training 250,000 people each year in more than 50 countries. Whatever the project, from the simplest to the most complex, whatever the field of expertise. We do not only see that technological breakthroughs are increasing, that they're revolutionizing work and jobs. We're inventing training solutions that are stimulating, grounded in reality, rooted in time, and always at the cutting edge. But in a world where you can learn everything, everywhere, all the time, being alone in front of your screen is not enough. To really change, to transform habits, human interaction and sharing are crucial. So we create personalized courses to test oneself, to put learning into practice, to develop individually and collectively, and to measure the progress made. Because we know that every second, somewhere in the world, a new idea is born. We observe, we decrypt, to anticipate needs, to ensure knowledge can circulate, to invent and share new approaches. And then we support each person, each company with passion and high standards, committed and proud to communicate, taking you beyond knowledge, transforming skills into performance.
Welcome to you all. It is a great pleasure to have you in this webinar where we will talk about Agile Leadership. It is a truly fundamental and fantastic experience to be sharing with colleagues all over the world, with participants from 3 different continents, from Brazil to Asia, to Europe, and also to Africa, where we will have the possibility to share a little bit about this new model, Agile Leadership, with my good colleague and friend, Artur Diniz, who will be on stage very shortly. A little bit of our history. We are operating, as you know, in many countries, over 50 countries already. We operate in 20 languages. People that we reach every year, around 250,000. This is a big, big community that Sagos has, over the years, managed to touch and actually inspire towards learning and towards developing key skills. Our mission is actually nowadays going beyond just the learning, it's beyond the knowledge. And for that matter, we actually build this type of events. We build all sorts of different ways for you to be able to accelerate your growth and your talents with it, contribute actually to a bigger and more significant business growth as you go along, maximize the learning and development investment, and finally, have an optimal use and integration of not only digital technology, but also learning technology, with an international rollout of our training programs being quite our standard nowadays. So I would actually like to invite you first, just on the start of this, to answer a quick poll, 2 little questions regarding Agile Leadership. For that, I would invite you to either use your smartphone or any device that can point to this QR code. If you can't, you just access the pollev.com/sagoc2865 on your browser and respond to 1 question and a second question, where you basically have to respond with 1 word. And my first question, for those who have already managed to get their smartphone on and shot this QR code, is, in fact, what words come to mind when you think of Agile? Let's see what people from all over the globe have in their minds, in their heads, when we are talking about Agile. So lean, first big word. Adaptability, quick, simple. Development, hello. So efficiency, I'm just picking on the big ones. The big words are the ones that everybody is answering more frequently. Efficiency, quick, fast, simple, speed, lean, speed, efficiency. Okay, it seems like all these words have a lot to do with the way we actually manufacture, the way we build things, the way we run our businesses. What does it have to do with leadership? I mean, can we do lean leadership, quick leadership? We can do probably flexible leadership, speedy leadership. I don't know. But now that we've just kind of got an idea of what you guys have in your head when we talk about agile, let me make a second question. And the word cloud that we've just built will probably change a little bit. And my second question is, without changing the app, the Poll Everywhere app that you're using, is what is the word that you associate with leadership? No longer agile, but just leadership. What is the word or words, if you have more than one, that you associate with leadership? Team, for sure. Example, okay, competence, vision, I see there. I also see skills. I also see influence. I see empathy. I see influence. I see vision. Great words. Great words. Coaching. I see responsibility. I see inspiring. I see example growing up and team growing up. I see empathy and influence and vision growing up as well. These are words that we would probably not necessarily associate with a manufacturing environment, with a factory. We see these words much more associated with the human side of management and the way that we work collectively and are able to work within a given purpose, a given vision, with people skills, soft skills that allow us to build empathetic relationships. So actually we have like two very divergent words, one very associated with efficiency, lean management, and all things that have to do with doing more with less, and another one that has to do with the way we are both led, influenced, and let ourselves be influenced. So thanks for this contribution. We are going to have the opportunity to talk with Dinesh about agile leadership and how these two concepts actually work together and will need to work together in a better way so that we can have better leaders of the future, so to speak. Leader of the Future, by the way, is also the name of a new program that we will be talking about later on after Dinesh has done his talk. It is a very famous and well-succeeded program in Brazil. I'll give a little bit more details later on. It is a leadership development program that we are launching for Europe, and many of you might have already heard about it. I'll give you some more details, but for now, what I need you guys to do is to know that you have the opportunity to actually win a free registration for the Leader of the Future program. If you want to, that will be run for the very first time in Europe in September. So there's a link in the chat that my colleague Katja will be putting very shortly. If you want to enroll, even without knowing necessarily what's it all about, let's see, maybe it could be interesting. I'll give you some more information about Leader of the Future program later on, and then you can still enroll. But for now, I would like to just challenge you to listen to what Artur Dinesh, the founder and the person that's very much behind this Leader of the Future program has to say about agile leadership. And we're going to connect directly to São Paulo. Hello, Artur, how are you?
Very happy to be here.
Great. So we've been just challenging people to give us a little bit of insight of what is agile, what is leadership. Everybody gave us a little bit of what is what. Artur, I think you can actually help out make a connection between these two big words and tell us a little bit about what is this agile leadership and how will it help us, not only in the future, but also in the present, to get to the future and to future-proof our organizations and our people. Go ahead.
Now I'm here. Let me introduce myself before, and then we're going to talk about agile leadership, which is a concept that is getting more and more important as we go. I started my career in banking, and for many years I worked as an executive in banking, but 18 years ago I started to work with people development, leadership development. And then I went all over the world to understand how to develop leaders. And in the last few years, many things changed about leadership development. Everything changed because we got exponential evolution. We got markets being broken from one day to another, new companies entering the marketing and making it happen, big companies not so good anymore. So what happened is the way to lead changed, and changed a lot. The way we have to lead now is much, much different from before. That's why I went to Singularity University, Stanford, MIT, Harvard, to understand how can we do it today. So let's talk about Agile. Agile has been in our world for a while now. The Agile started many years ago with technology people when they wrote a manifesto about Agile, and they started doing things differently. With these four concepts that we see here, individuals and interactions, working with software, customer collaboration, and reporting to change. So they started to work in different ways with scrums, squads, and different techniques. And they worked with this like for a while, and nobody cared. But then, after some time, all the companies are now thinking, how can we do Agile in our work? How can we change our company to be more Agile? How can we have Agile leaders? And that's the challenge I've been facing every day. I help organizations to be Agile and to understand. So why Agile became so important nowadays? The answer is, now, the rate of change today is the slowest we will ever experience. So the world is getting faster and faster. We now have to decide which information is important or not. Years ago, we used to have to plan and look for information, find the information. It's very different. When I worked in banking, we usually did 10-year planning. Can you believe that? 10-year planning? And we got it right because the world was moving in a different pace. Right now, it's very fast. It's different. So what is Agile? Agile is not only a set of tools, but also in methodologies, but also a set of values, behaviors, and methods. Many people, when they hear about Agile, what they think is the Scrum, the Squad, and different methodologies of Agile. It is completely different to be Agile and to think Agile. So it's very important to understand the difference. One thing is doing Agile. Doing Agile is using Agile methodologies, Kanban, Scrums, and everything else. That gets improved communication, increased productivity, and everything else. But being Agile is completely different because to be Agile, we need employee engagement. We need the leadership changing their minds all over the organizations. We need customer satisfaction and continuous learning. So the important thing is here is being Agile is much more important than doing Agile. One organization could be all over the methodology and not be Agile. And at the same time, you can not use any of the tools and methodologies, but at the same time, you can be Agile because it's more a mindset and a way of thinking than a way of doing it, because there are different ways of doing Agile. Big difference. Agility is worth it. That is very important. All the numbers you can see now make it more and more important. One example, I work with training, right? 3 to 4 years ago, we usually have to think about a new training for at least 6 months, planning so that we can launch a new training. Right now, we can do it like 1 or 2 days. using the Agile methodology and also the Agile thinking style. It's different. Productivity with Agile is much higher than traditional teams. And let's see why is that. Now we have to separate two different things. One thing is leadership agility. When we talk about personal agility, leading in different ways, empowering people. And the other thing is the organization agility. Both are very, very important. But it's very important to separate them, to think difference. When we talk about organization agility, we are talking about 4 different things. First is strategic agility. You have to be agile not only in doing things, but also in your strategy, because the market is changing every day. You never know if next week a different competitor will appear in your market and change everything, the way it's done, everything. So the strategy has to be clear now, but not a long-term strategy, because you have to adapt it every day. Then we have the operational agility. Can we do things fast in our company? And how can we do it? We're going to talk about it. After that, resource agility. One thing that changed a lot in companies right now is that in the past, we usually have the budgets, and the budget had to be fixed and followed. Right now, the agility on the budget is very, very important, because you need resource agility, you need to change. So the budget meetings are not now about, are we following the budget, but how could we change it and how can we redirect the resources? And the last one is related to our talk today. It's personal agility, related completely with leadership agility. We developed a model here who talks about Agile in 4 different dimensions. We're going to talk about experimentation, collaboration, autonomy, and focus on the client. These are the 4 big dimensions that are very important in any model of Agile. And we are going to talk about how the leaders can understand the 4 dimensions and work with this. Before I present you the details of the model, I'd like to do a little assessment with you, which will be conducted by my colleague from Portugal, okay? Just answer the questions very quickly so that we can back in an agile way.
Okay, so we're looking at the results of the poll. Artur is shortly arriving, looking at the results of all your contributions. It is interesting to understand how the different results are there. Artur, are we ready to give everybody the results? I'm passing it on to you again.
Okay, let's move on. So you had the opportunity to answer the questions about these 4 dimensions. When we talk about collaborations, we are talking about working in teams. It's very important to understand that Agile is impossible without working in teams, because one of the main fundamentals of Agile is working with people from different parts of the company. So it's very important to understand, to have diversity and collaboration, the communication, teamwork. We are going to talk about how to do it. On the autonomy side, it's very important, and there, one of the most important things that leaders need to understand. Leaders need to give autonomy to their colleagues, to their employees, to their teams, so that they can make the decisions and work fast. It's very important this because it's impossible for one organization to be agile if the people in the organization don't have the autonomy to make the decisions. The other point that changed completely with Agile is the focus on the clients. It's very important to focus on the client because on the Agile mindset and methodology, everything we are going to do, we have to test first with the client, because we cannot end the process without the client agreement. And we have to know what the client wants to understand how we do it and what we do and what we don't do. I'm going to show you a very good example of this. And the last one is experimentation. And when you talk about experimentation, the mindset that comes to my mind is accepting errors as part of the process. Making mistakes have to be good, not bad like they were before. Doing right in the first time is not the way of doing it. You have to do it wrong many times. You have to test it. You have to use the A/B methodology. Test everything. Let me talk about each of one and give you examples to understand. Focus on the client. To focus on the client, it's very important that we know how to prioritize things. And I love this old tool, the Moscow prioritizing tool. It's very useful. You can use at any time. You have to understand and to design new products or new things or new projects, always using this. What we must have. What should have. What maybe would be great to have, and what is not important at all. This model helped me a lot when I was designing the leader of the future. One of the things, like we had many ideas to do a better program. But at one point we said, if you want to launch the program in timing, we need to understand what do we must have. And then we go for the should haves and the next and the next. The best example I have this is the remote control. And we can compare the remote controls here with 2 kinds of leadership. The one we see with lots of buttons, it's a just in case leadership. Have you ever had a leader that is just in case? You are making a presentation and then you have 10 slides for the presentation, but you have to prepare 350 slides just in case anyone asks, right? Have you ever seen this? It's the most common kind of leader. It's, oh, just in case. So we do lots and lots of work that are thrown away and you never use it. And you see the second remote control, then you can see it just-in-time leadership, just what you need. Fast, efficient, and you don't spend any time doing what is completely useless. There is nothing as useless as doing great efficiency, something that did not need to be done. So the remote control with the just in case, it's a great example of this. To be agile, we have to focus and prioritize. This is the rule number one. Don't forget about this. Very important. The second dimension, we're going to talk about autonomy. Leadership has changed all over the world. So in the past, it was always like the first chart, let's say the team leader, and the leader says and tells everybody follows the rules and the orders. This changed a lot. The hierarchy changed. We don't have more like this is a boss of this and boss of this. Now, with the agile teams, we have a self-organization. This is a big challenge for leaders. When I was at Columbia Business School, I met a general of the US Army, and he was doing an agile course, which for me was already amazing. But then he made a statement that almost all of us, because he was crying, almost all of us was really inspired, because he said, the big difficulty of implementing agile in the army was I was losing power because I had to give autonomy to people to make decisions. Because what happens in many organizations is they do the squads, the scrums, the groups, and then when the group finishes and have a conclusion, then they go to their bosses, and the bosses says, no, I don't like it. It's not agile at all, because the leader is still in charge. So it's a big break of a paradigm. Being agile needs self-organized teams doing things faster than different areas working separately. Okay? So don't forget about this. We have two big dimensions when we talk about agile. One is alignment, and the other one is the empowerment itself, the level of autonomy people can have. I've been working with lots of organizations to help them, and we still have many organizations that are in the authoritarian way. So they have lots of alignment. When I worked in banking, I worked for a bank, for example, I was the director of products in the banking, and I had like a huge idea. And wow, let's share the idea. I invited another director and said, look at my idea. We can get lots of money with this new product. What do you think? And he said to me, I know, I understand you're just getting here in the bank, but if you have any good idea like this, the idea is great. But anytime you have a great idea, just keep it to yourself. And you're going to spend a very long career in this organization, because there are so much rules, so much steps, and so much problems and bureaucracy, it's not worth it. So lots of alignment, no autonomy. But right now we have many startups in the opposite way. Everybody has autonomy, so they do whatever they want, but very few, very small alignment. What happens with this is nobody knows what the others are doing, and many people doing the same thing that others are doing, and many things that need to be done, and nobody knows who is responsible for. It's a complete mess. So to have a really collaborative company with autonomy and alignment, you have to align and give autonomy at the same time. The way to do this is communicate the strategy of the company all the time. When I learned about autonomy in my first Agile Leadership course, the first thing I changed at Crescimento, my company here in Brazil, was I need to have meetings with all the companies so that we can talk about what projects are going, what projects are not going, what is our strategy, what's changed, and we have monthly meetings. Because now, with all the people knowing our strategy, then can make good decisions. If I just give autonomy to people and do not give the strategy and any alignment, it's a complete mess. So this is number two. And to empower, you have to go a cycle. It's not like, oh, Arthur said, we have to empower people. Let's empower everybody. People, From now on, don't ask me what to do, just do it, go for it. It's agile, great, go, go, go. No, it's not like this. You have to understand what can you give autonomy and how can you empower. You have to think about two dimensions, the risk and the competence of the person who are you delegating any project or any task. So if the risk is low and the competence is high, it's different way of doing. So you can start, for example, you have a high risk and low competence. You have a new employee in your team, he doesn't know everything about the job. So what you do it yourself and show him how to do it. It's the first step. But then after some time, this person is going to start to learn doing things better. So the competence is higher, the risk is a little bit lower. You go to the step 2, it's doing together. You're going to do part, this person is going to do the other part, we're going to do together, you can correct some things, and you're at the same time prepare this person for the next step. This next step is to be a mentor. So now you're going to let your employee do things, but you're going to talk about your experience, what can go wrong, what cannot go wrong, and you're going to give some ideas, but nothing, you are not going to execute anymore. So after some time, this employee is learning, and you go to the next step. Now you can be a coach. Instead of telling things, you're going to ask questions. Just asking good questions will make a lot of difference. When we do long leadership courses like the Leader of the Field, we talk about being a coach. Asking questions make people more intelligent, make them have smart decisions, and also empower them to make the decision and to having the answers. When you give the answers, maybe they already know. When you ask questions, it makes the whole difference. And then the ideal final step, full empowerment. It's where you do nothing at all. I can talk to you about my experience at Crescimento. I started the company in my living room, and I had no employees. Then I started growing and hired some people. But in the first year, if I left the company for 1 or 2 weeks to do anything, it was a big, big mess. When I got back, everyone was desperate. You can't leave. We need you to make decisions here and everything. And moving on. I started then training people step by step, and then I could stay 2 or 3 weeks out, and then 4 weeks. Right now, I'm doing what I think a leader is supposed to do. I'm not necessary at all. So the company can run here without my presence. That's my goal. And if you think of an agile leader, your main goal with the empowerment is not to be necessary to do anything, so that you have time to think about strategic questions, strategic things. I remember a client of coaching of mine that after 6 months working, and I said, what can you delegate? What can you delegate? And he gave me a list and went delegate. And then in the end of the process, I said, now what can you delegate? He said, no, you did it. I'm useless now. I don't serve for anything. They can do it anything. And he was sad. And I said, why are you sad? Because I feel useless. And then I asked him, is anyone in your team performing worse than he could or she could? Is anyone? He said, no, many of them could perform better. And then he said, wow, I can help them grow. And then I said, wow, now you found what is your leadership role? Help people develop themselves, not doing for them. Help people grow is your main goal as a leader. Okay, empowerment done. Let's go to experimentation. You have to test it all during the process. And now we are going to talk, we have to be allowed to make mistakes. In the traditional thinking, mistakes were not accepted. I went once, I remember, to a fabric, and they were there, and they wanted me to give an innovation course about how to innovate and make things different. And the first thing I saw was written big on all the walls in the whole fabric. It was like, do it right in the first time. And I said, how do you want me to teach innovation to a group that cannot make mistakes? It's impossible. And one thing that I saw in the Silicon Valley is that they have this mindset very, very strong. They need to make mistakes if they are not doing many mistakes because they are not trying enough to do different, right? So making and accepting mistakes, it's important. I help and I mentor many leaders that are really, really perfectionists, and they kind of get stuck here. How can I do it? I need to do it perfect. I cannot commit mistakes. You have to change this. Making mistakes is the best way to try new things and to develop new ways of doing things and even of leading. It's very important. Then we go for the next step, collaboration. As I said in the beginning, collaboration is very important for Agile because you need people from different areas working together. And I have a very, the case that I like to talk about is the Google case, because they did a great study with lots of people, and what they concluded in the end is to be a high-performance team, you don't need to have all high-performance participants. They compared teams with only high performance and teams that had a mix of different performances before. And what they discovered is that the teams that work in a certain way had better performance than the only high-performance teams. And the number one thing that they have was psychological safety. Psychological safety was the number one. So people have to be able to talk with each other, to give feedback without changing the dynamics, without fighting with each other, receiving feedback, giving ideas, making mistakes. They have to be safe. And for the high-performance team to go further, 3 main characteristics are very, very important. So what they discovered is, in the high-performance teams, all the members talked for almost the same time. So there were not one people controlling the whole conversation. Everybody talked, and it was really distributed. The second one is that one people from the team listen to the other with genuine intentions. So listening happens all the time. And the third one, is to take in account others' emotions. That was very, very important for high-performance teams. It's very, one thing that I observe along my career of leadership development, it's amazing. In the Leader of the Future, we have, for example, 1 week, and we create teams. We create an environment to represent the real life with different teams. It's amazing how in the 4 or 5 days, they become a team, and they say, why cannot us be this team in real life? Because if in 4 days during the course, we became a high-performance team, we talked to each other as families almost. We talked about everything, everybody participates, no one feels scared and anything. What happened? How can we do it? And then they think psychological safety, because they do not and cannot run risks making mistakes. It's very, very important. And the other point that is very important for these high-performance teams is having feedback. Because they are in the psychological safe place, they can give feedback without running the risk of losing friends or fighting or anything. because feedback is seen as a present. At Crescimento here, we have a very, very strong culture of feedback. And it's amazing when people outside the company, they looked us working and giving and exchanging feedback. They said, how can you do it? Because no one makes like grumpy faces or, I don't want it. It's like we just exchange feedback. Oh, by the way, you could do better at this, this, this. And what we did to change is to change the mindset. Usually, when people want feedback, they want to know if they were bad, average, or good performance. And that should not be the focus. At Crescimento, the focus of the feedback is, how can you do better next time? So we train everybody that gets in to say, you finish your task and you ask the other, how could I do better next time? It doesn't matter if it was good, bad, great. It doesn't matter, because this is for the ego, not for developing themselves. So the question is, how can I perform better? And if people ask feedback like this, all the others feel comfortable giving feedback in the same way. And the exchange goes, and people grow very, very fast. It's amazing the difference it makes. So when you think of the attributes or behaviors of leaders who can conduct this agile leadership revolution, they have to build trust around their teams. The trust is fundamental for the feedback, for the psychological safety, for the focus on the customer. They have to stimulate the energy and creativity of the teams, and also balance teamwork with individual responsibility. There are the three top attributes. They are very important for this leader to make it happen. Final thoughts. What I want to conclude here is very, very important. Agile is not a set of methodologies. It's Scrum, Kanban, no. Agile is a mindset. It's based on values and principles. It's not a methodology or a tool at all. Because many companies are implementing agile methodologies, and then they see, we are not agile at all. It didn't work. The methodology is bad. Let's go back the way we were before. Because they didn't understand the main thing. So many companies are calling us to train them agile mindset. What is the agile mindset? What is thinking agile? That's the much important. And the leaders had to be the beginners and the example, as you said in the beginning, in the cloud. Leaders have to be example of agile if they want people to be agile as well. The second thing, the fast way to implement this culture is to adapt an agile mindset, empowering teams, talking to everybody at the same time. But it's very important to make them understand what agile is. Because agile makes this continuous learning, makes the results, make faster products. And because they have also the client participating during the process, it's usually the result is very, very, very good. I'm helping many teams here in Brazil to be more agile. And the main thing is how can we get our leaders to be agile? So as a leader, you have to think, are you empowering your team? And first, before empowering your team, do you have their trust? Do you really have the trust of your team? Do they trust each other? Do you have a safe place for people? And right now, in this post-pandemic, in Brazil, it's not post-pandemic, right? We're still in the middle of the pandemic, but after 1 year, with everybody stuck at home, afraid of getting sick, afraid of COVID, people need more than anything leaders with empathy, leaders that are connected to their mental necessities. So be very careful. Oh, we need to be agile and right now, maybe to be agile, we need people to be first healthy. So the message I would give you and reinforce in the end is, think about how can you take care of your people right now. Start all the meetings with, how are you doing? But really, ask like 3 times, how are you really doing? And if you could be honest, how are you doing, by the way? It's really, really important. Because after this year suffering, many people need their leaders not only to be agile, but also to be empathetic, to be their friends, to take care of them, and to help them understand that it's very important to be first healthy, and then second, to be agile. Okay? Thank you very much. Ricardo will be conducting right from now on. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
We will I would like to ask you to answer some Q&A questions. I would actually challenge anybody that wants to make questions about agile leadership to Artur to go on the chat, write them down. We will gather the amount that we were able to answer in the time that we will have. Artur, for sure, will have the opportunity to come back and answer these questions, at least the ones that we can encompass in the time that we have. I had actually told and said that we would be talking a little bit about the Leader of the Future, the program that we're also launching today. It is a leadership development program that touches many of the aspects that Artur was mentioning. I had the opportunity to go through this program quite recently, and I recognized many of the tools and messages that are encompassed in this Leader of the Future. And basically, what I would like to tell you is it is quite an impactful, I would say, a very immersive 1-week online program that will be completely transformative for the people in today's world, okay? It transforms the way that the leaders see themselves and help them become leaders fit for the future. So throughout this intensive 1-week program, participants are actually encouraged to be very honest, very introspective, discovering truths about their own leadership style, which is in many cases a very big revelation. Okay, the people that I worked with in this program gave this feedback at the end. Yes, I now know things about myself that I didn't know before. So people will actually learn to build on their strengths, learn to improve on their weaknesses, and also become an all-round exceptional leader, I would say. But they will also be forced to re-examine their lives outside of work and learn how to achieve a more satisfactory work-life balance. At the end of this week, it is a fundamental learning point. Participants that go into this program will work with other leaders from across Europe. This is the first open course that Sagos is doing for all Europe, and get valuable feedback from people from completely different cultures and completely different organizations. The program is actually packed with enough theory and enough practice on everything from achieving high performance to understanding and motivating behaviors. But the focus is on applying this knowledge in a very practical way among a group of very supportive, but also challenging participants who share their experiences and do want to experiment new things. So our participants are actually very much expected to focus fully on this course without any distractions. As I said, it's a very intensive, immersive experience. Each day is filled with learnings of how to become a powerful and more inspirational leader, a more agile leader, based on both science evidence and experience from many companies and many years of running this program in Brazil and other parts of the world. The practical activities are actually designed to push to the limits each participant at a max. The program is not easy. It's actually quite hard work and often quite physically tiring, and I would actually say emotionally draining, but the results are phenomenal, okay? Take it from me, take it from the participants. We have some testimonies coming up ahead, and you can get from them that this was not just another training. Participants will actually leave the course a different person, a person that is able to take on all the challenges in this very fast-moving, fast-changing world, and that are empowered with the skills and the knowledge that they have to become much better leaders than they were at the beginning. Okay, it is an experience they will never forget. So the first edition will happen on September, from the 20th to the 24th of September. We have another edition going on in November, but this is the first edition that we have in this market. So how does it actually work? Let me give you a couple of insights. It's actually, I said, a 5-day intensive course delivered entirely online. We've had it delivered in person in the past, but for now it is entirely online. Workshops will begin early in the morning, 8 o'clock Central European time, and they actually start off with exercises, with mindfulness exercises, and end at the evening with active participation expected from everybody, okay? This is a week where people will be completely dedicated to this learning. And so before this immersion week, what we'd like to challenge people to do is to get the most out of the program. They will need to complete 2, 3, 4 major activities. Start off with signing an expectation agreement that commits them to the learning style, total immersion, and the avoidance of distraction principle. We will suggest they do a confidential 360 evaluations. They will invite at least 8 people, and actually can invite much more, to provide feedback on their actual performance. The more people they actually invite, the more accurate this feedback will be, and these results will be made available during the training as in a feedback session. We'll also go for a personal profile analysis. This will also be made available during the training, and there is a Harvard Business Review case that people need to read and bring insights to the program from that particular Harvard Business Review. So this is kind of a pre-work and get ready for this immersion week. What happens during the immersion week? Well, it's a true life-changing experience. So people will embark on these 5 days intensive journeys that I said, that include not only virtual workshops, but also include exercises, group assignments, individual assignments. They will expand their awareness and their talents, identify points where they need to improve, acquire knowledge and tools that will help them become high-performing leaders of the future, okay? And after this, well, you know, we know that the immersion week is quite intensive. We know that people will expand their awareness, but their development, however, is only starting. So their development journey, after they've gone through this immersion week, keeps going on. We will provide follow-up services to help them develop furthermore. So, you know, we can, in order to help them put their learnings into practice, give them access to our learning hub for a year. They will also benefit from individual coaching sessions, and even if they want more, we can also provide paid options for that. And the session will be scheduled and held within no more than 1 month after the end of this immersion program, just to give them a little bit more boost. 2 months later, they will have the opportunity, I would say, to repeat, if they want, the 360 evaluation and assess whether the changes in their behavior and in their way of working are being perceived by the people around them that gave them feedback in the beginning. This is fundamentally a before, in, and after the immersion week approach to it. What are the key benefits? Well, first of all, leaders will be transformed both personally, but also professionally, okay? It promotes a change of behavior at a very personal level, as well as a professional one. The individuals become more fulfilled, more motivated, and high-performing as leaders. A second major benefit, I would say, is they will get candid and valuable feedback from their peers and from the trainers. This doesn't always happen in the workplace, where people are fearful and are becoming candid and being quite truthful. Here they get it as it is, and they have to learn how to use that. They will also discover the true reflection of their talents and their weaknesses through this feedback. This is very important. Third, it is very a very emotionally charged journey, quite challenging from a behavioral point of view. And, you know, there will also be a chance to develop new skills, new behaviors, ones with extraordinary and measurable results. This program is an experience that encourages a lot of self-reflection. The journey actually helps transform people into high-performing and agile leaders, translating this experience into their day-to-day lives, into impactful decisions that are designed for them. So often these participants let down their guard during the program, which helps them clearly evaluate their skills and the work they need to improve themselves. Fourth big benefit, I would say, is the program is established. It's actually been running for many years. It was launched in 2005. More than 10,000 leaders have already benefited from this program. A lot of ex-participants report that they still learn and they still use the learnings that they got from the program many years afterwards. So it has a great NPS, great Net Promoter Score, above 90%. This cannot be just by chance. And in that perspective, I would say that the fifth, sixth, and even seventh benefits are, from one point, learners will actually interact and engage with people from all over Europe. This is something that opens their mindset to a more global mindset. The cultural exchange here is fascinating and prepares people for a global nature of their role. Sixth, well, the companies will benefit with higher performing leaders who can actually meet the challenges of today and be prepared for the future ones. And last but not least, of course, there are practical tasks that will simulate the very volatile and agile environment of our today organization. So participants will actually learn in an environment that mirrors this very unpredictable and volatile nature of our companies nowadays. They are actually challenged to make difficult decisions very quickly and to provide inspirational leadership under pressure. This is a little bit of an insight of how the program works, what are the key benefits, and how we'd like to really share this program with you. There's a couple of testimonies that we'd like to at least allow you to see and to take into consideration to maybe enroll in this program.
Hi, I'm Mike Maxwell. I'm a Senior Operations Manager for Whirlpool, and I have to say that the Leader of the Future training program has been the best training program I've ever participated in. It's a holistic program that allows you to really unleash the leader that's inside of you. And it's a 5-day program that's worth every bit of those 5 days because it's going to change your life.
My name is John Webster, and I'm currently working in human resources, driving a workforce management strategy. I've just attended the Leader of the Future training, and I can honestly say it's been the single most important training I feel like I've attended in my entire life. It's been an exceptionally powerful week. The chance to grow and learn with other leaders has just been a phenomenal experience that I think has truly changed how I will work. But also I think who I am as a leader, both in work and outside of work.
Hi, I'm Gabriele Patti. I'm from Italy and I work here in US. So this was probably the best experience that I had from a learning standpoint. I've been working for 13 years. I never had the opportunity to learn and to, I would say, go deep and understand myself and how to work with others. And I think what was very different is that I have been participating and active all the time. I was almost learning, but somehow I was part of it. And I think this has been completely different than anything else I did in my life.
Not only these testimonies, but the testimonies of many other participants around the world that have experiences. And this is actually why we are bringing it to Europe. We think this is a fantastic tool to really unleash the potential of so many leaders we have around. I had talked in the beginning of a free registration. You still have, I would say, the next 5 minutes to go online, link in the chat, as you can see, and put yourself in a position where you can actually win this free registration for the Leader of the Future program in September, starting 20th. And if you haven't done so, please go ahead and, well, test your luck. Now, what we would like to still do, and I know that we're running a little bit short in time here, so we'll have to really be concise, is go back to Artur and answer some of the Q&A, some of the questions that you've put through the chat. I will actually invite my colleague, Katja. Katja, how are you there? I'm wondering if you have many questions that maybe can be put to Artur. Let me see if we can get Artur back to answer some of these questions and hopefully give us some further insights on agile leadership that can hopefully help everybody understand how this model works and is actually impactful. So Artur, how are you doing? Great,
Great
great
here.
talk. Thank you so much for your insights. Let me see if our participants have some questions. Katja, go ahead.
Yes, they do. So I have here one question from Rui Ferreira, and it says, my issue is become from colleague to leader. It's not easy. How can we do it in an agile way?
Okay, so
Okay, so you selected the most difficult questions, right? Thank you very much. Yeah, this is a very common challenge when you come from colleague to leader and you need to create a different relationship. It's maybe it's very challenging in the beginning, mostly because of the leader's mindsets. In most of the cases I've seen like this, the problem is not with the people that are going to be led from this friend. It's the opposite. It's the leader that feels uncomfortable. So the one solution that I see here is to change the mindset and have a truly honest conversation with the person, because it really changes, right? If the greatest thing they do, for example, is to go for lunch and talk badly about the leader, now you are the leader, so you can't go. So something in the relationship can change, but being honest, face to face, looking in the eyes and telling the person, I'm the leader now, I have to change a little bit of things, but I'm still your friend, I like you, and I will do everything in my power to develop you. That's my mission as a leader. In my experience, being honest and very straight helps a lot and makes it very fast and agile.
and cuts through all the crap. That's great. Katja, do you have anything else that we could possibly
Yes.
get out of that fantastic net that you have there? Scoops out the good questions.
Rita asks if have you ever used laughter yoga as a tool in this leadership style?
I'm sorry. Use what?
Yoga do riso.
Yeah, laughter yoga. This is a very special, I would say, an eccentric way of using laughter in a yoga environment, and actually kind of loosens up everybody very much. Have you ever used this in an agile leadership environment, Artur?
Well, I have not used yet. We use different kinds, for example, of active meditation and everything. I think many different kinds of physical exercises, dancing, we use it lots. But this method of yoga, still not. But if you can send me in the chat, how can we use it? I would love to understand.
Maybe there's something we can experiment there. And who knows, maybe we can even introduce that later on in one of the programs, just to try it out. Thank you very much, Rita, for that suggestion. Katja, anything else?
Yes, Teresa asks, how did we jump from a manifesto clearly focused on software development to all these other new dimensions?
Oh,
okay.
it sounds
Great
like a
question.
challenging question. Go ahead.
As I said in the beginning, it was not a very fast change. For like 10 to 12 years, only technology users, and they did it. I remember I was called to a company and they said, we have a different way of doing this here. Do you know Scrum? Then I had to take a course about Scrum to train the leaders. And it was like 10 years ago. And then I had to learn this. So I think the world changing in the exponential world make it a necessity for companies. What happens is there are companies that are growing, for example, they double the number of employees each 6 months. It's impossible to lead this company and to make them grow if you don't use the agile methodology. And that's what happened. Some companies started doing it and the others were following, because it's impossible. If you don't empower and if you don't use new methods, you're not going to grow as fast as you need.
Good. That's a fair answer. Go ahead, Katja, if there's anything else you have there.
Also, Pedro is asking, how can we make agile visual? Are there any tools that support and provide visibility to what is being done on the ground?
Okay, thank you for reminding us. It's very important for Agile. It's more connected to the Agile methodology than to the Agile mindset. But all the Agile methodologies, they have to be visual. You have to do like boards. You can use like not right now online boards and different methodologies. But it's very important for everybody in the team to be able to see what's being done, what you're going to do next, what's important, what is prioritized, and what did finish. It's very important to be visual. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of an experience just now when we finally reveal who won the competition in a very visual and digital way, so that can be a little bit of fun also as an element of bringing into the experience. Katja, one last question perhaps before we finally move on.
Right. So Miguel is asking what to do when you have a leader that do not care about you and your needs, but only about your sales results.
Ooh.
Whoa, the most difficult to the end, right? Thank you, Katja. Well, I tend to think of people as having, all the people have good intentions behind it. So when you feel that your leader is only focused on your results, I think maybe you are lacking in a trusting relationship with the leader. My first idea would be talk straight to them and try to understand, get to know the leader better, get close, try to understand what this leader like or doesn't like, try to get closer to really understand. But in the end of the way, I have a belief that you choose your leader, right? It's your choice. Everyone has the leader that he or she deserves, because you choose your company that you are working, you choose your leader, and you can choose the way you are led. You can allow people to do something with you or not. It's always your choice. But I really believe of making friends and eye to eye and try to get the human side of everyone. It's always possible in my experience. I really believe this.
Thank you for that, Artur. Yes, everybody is human one way or the other, and we can always find that space of understanding and collaboration if we are able to take the feedback model that you gave and really put it in front. I think this is a great wrap up for the session today and the Q&A. More questions I'm sure Katja has. We'll try to answer them either online or just writing them back directly to the people if possible, if you can get those questions. Please use the email that Artur also put out there. We can put it in the chat if you need that. We will for sure want to answer you. So Artur, are we ready to see who will be our participant in September that has now won a free enrollment and discover who he or she is and where are they coming from? Do you want to know who they are?
Oh yes, let's do it.
So let's see how this goes. So we've got this little app that's very fun. It's got all the names of people that use the time of this webinar to really enroll as well. And we are going to ask our support team here, David, please to run this wheel and discover who actually won this. So randomly it is or was, oops, let me see, almost there. You'll only get Isa Pedroso from inetum.com. Isa, congratulations. Well done. You're already officially one of our participants in September. Find a way of getting 5 days where you do not have to have your, I don't know, your dogs, your friends, your kids, your family bothering you, where you can be fully focused in your own development. It will be great. We will get in touch with you through your email. And welcome aboard. You're going to be participating in the first edition of the Leader of the Future Europe after so many other editions that have happened all around the world. Thank you very much, Artur. I think we have good company. Hopefully Isa will be willing to participate with all the energy that we need her to bring and all her experience and all her insights that will also help all the other participants to grow. From my side, Artur, this was great. I really enjoyed having this collaboration with your team on the other side of the Atlantic. It made the Atlantic very small, and it's always a great pleasure to hear you talk about these subject matters I know you're very passionate about.
Oh yeah, It was great being here. I'm really happy about the program, about helping people all over the world and making the world really smaller and closer. We can really build a better world for us. Thank you
That's
very
gonna
much
be-
for being here. It was really a pleasure.
Okay, listen, let's do this some other time again. If not before, in September, we will all be together and doing a fantastic edition of the Leader of the Future. Guys, it has been wonderful. I'm letting you go. Thanks for your little extra time here that we took. It's been a great pleasure to be with you all. Keep in touch. More great team adventures happening in the near future. Here we go.
The world around us is changing fast. Right now, that world needs leaders with the knowledge, skills, and strengths to lead in a new era. Agile leaders, leaders with empathy, inspirational leaders that drive the growth of your company. Welcome to Leader of the Future from Sagos, an immersive online program that builds leaders fit for the world of today and tomorrow. In just 1 week, those who take part will change in ways that last a lifetime. They'll work with leaders from all over Europe to learn, experiment, and share ideas. They'll be given the practical tools to transform the way they lead, challenged to rethink their behaviors so they can become more respected and trusted by their teams. The week is intense, hard work. No distractions, just complete immersion in the journey to becoming a better leader. And it works. See what people who have been on the course have to say. Is it time for your company and your leaders to adapt to the new world?